updated video for the week beginning the 29th of May. We're coming to the end of the month, so it's worth noting. So it might be a little bit choppy Monday, Tuesday, but we can see the Euro FX now taking a little dip. We've gone from 187 to 173, so a fairly substantial dip there. And we can see the dollar is fairly stable. And I think what's going to happen is that this is just resting and it's going to come up higher. And then we're probably going to get a Euro USD sell, but we obviously have to get a cross. And we had a cross over here, and this was around the parity level. And we have really surged since. So there's the Euro FX positioning. It's worth noting that the herd are long on the Euro USD. They're actually really long, and they're really long on the Aussie USD as well. So that's probably not going to be very favourable for that bias, because we've got a decline of the big fish sentiment. This is the net non-coms, and we've got the fact that the dumb money are really long on the euro. So that's of note. We've got a long way before we get a crossover, before we can really think about selling. But there is a decline here, so we're still very positive, but we've dipped. Okay, we'll look at yen. The yen is off. No, all right, okay, that's fair enough. And so cross yen favoured to the upside. Like I said on Friday, if you saw that message in Discord, I said we can probably see more upside because we've got a very good score on our QDB score on the spreadsheet for cross yen. Yen is actually quite weak according to our spreadsheet data, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a weakness on the yen, and it is what it is. So we went from 64 to minus 80. So quite bearish on the yen. So we're probably going to see a little bit more upside across yen. So XXX/yen. Okay, that's what I mean by cross yen. And that's that. Let's look at Aussie. Oops, what did I do? Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Oh, we've got to put yen on, don't we? And so the Aussie did tick higher, 53 to 49. We're negative, but less negative. It could have been worse for the Aussie. Not much to be said there. Aussie off, pound on. Let's have a look. And all right, so we had a GU buy because we had the crossover. We might get a GU sell. I'm wary about the pound. I've got to be honest with you, especially the pound USD. Technically, we're quite bullish because we're above the zero line. Shall I say fundamentally bullish, because this is the COT data. This tells us the big fish sentiment. So it's sentimental and fundamental analysis that we're seeing. It's probably more really to do fundamentals. Really, the sentiment we can be looking at from like a retail perspective, but this is more like sort of fundamental. And so much is that this is what the banks and institutions are doing. So if they're going to sell the pound against the USD, that's going to be a trigger for more downside. So very, very tricky. So I was worried about it anyway, and now we're probably going to dip down. We're really close, aren't we? So next week probably might be quite bearish for cable. So bear that in mind. CAD. Now we were quite weak, and we are weaker where we were. So there's a decline here. So actually, it took me by surprise how much it fell. Really did dump, and there isn't any signal to be said here. There's no crossover for that. And euro. Let's look at gold. And did we breach it? 172, 160. Yeah, we did quite a bit. So fairly bearish on gold. We've broken that support, and that's what I was looking at here. You see, now that is going to be a decent support, and we are below. What's this level? Oops. 162.81, 167.32. Oh, we're just above that high. Probably fairly bearish because we're below that level. It's obviously an important level. We really saw a pump there. Now being below that pump level could be quite bearish. That is going to maybe be a support, 160.281. Okay, so I was saying to sell gold if we breach that, which I guess it could be a good one to do, but you'd want to maybe wait for this one. And once we're below that, we'll probably have to contend with this, and then we'll come down here to this level. Note we haven't. We are very, we are strongly positive, well below, above the 0 line. Gold off, and then we can look at Kiwi and see what happened here. And we're just kind of just dropping, aren't we? And we saw an increase. It's going to be hard to see, isn't it, because of the data. We saw an increase there, so not much to be said. We nearly had an NU buy, but obviously they shorted the Kiwi, and I think they're going to do the same with the pound. You put the pound back on. Yeah, so we had nearly an interchange of NZD USD. We had an interchange, but then they might be changing their mind here. Take pound off again, just to remember. It's probably a little bit ominous for the pound. And Swiss franc, and then we'll wrap up, and then we'll be back tomorrow for normal resumption of activities. Let's take that off. And it is cool because you can look at any permutation as well. So, for example, if you might be interested in maybe EN, just maybe you're just trading Euro Kiwi, maybe you could just do that. Wow, see the big pump there, and just stuff like that. And it's pretty cool document, and this is all thanks to Krishnan. So thanks to him for making this document and importing the data for us. It's really awesome. If you want to get access to this, you'd have to join the Patreon, and it has to be basic tier. Oh no, sorry, but the bulletin tier and above, and you get access to that. So I kindly ask you not to share the document outside Discord. That would be great if you did. And or shall I say didn't. And I'll speak to you guys tomorrow. And then we've got normal activities, and we've got some robot testing to do. This week is going to be the last week before we put in any technical checks. I just want to see if it's going to be okay without the technical checks this week. And also we have to think about the timing of the signals, especially over Asia, because I'm asleep. So when they trigger, they're not going to get any QA. They're just going to trigger. All right, so we have to look at the timing. It might be that we might want to do every 2 hours instead of every 4 hours, but we'll have to, have a discussion about that. And I'll speak to you guys soon, and I'll speak to you tomorrow as well.